Welcome back, YouTube family. Jahmal Coleman tapping back in here with the Character Elevation channel. If you've been liking the content you've been hearing, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and definitely share this content with friends and family and to people you feel like this would be beneficial to. The path of least resistance. You know, many of us find ourselves always taking the path of the least resistance because it's the easy path. You know, it's the easiest thing to do. The path of least resistance comes without challenge. It comes without making us think or making us become creative to handle the situation or to overcome a situation if we didn't take the path with the least resistance. And that's why it's such a popular path. But in the same light as the path of least resistance being the popular path, it's also not the path that allows us to be qualified and then to become certified to reach that goal that we want to reach, or to become that person that we want to become, or to be in that place that we want to be. Because it's the path that has the resistance that gives us the opportunity to become creative. It gives us the opportunity to use our creative imagination. It gives us the opportunity to use our mindset and to develop new thinking skills and strategies to overcome this path that we find ourselves on that has resistance. You know, anything in life that is worth having is worth fighting for. And anything in life that we want or we want to accomplish, it usually comes with a challenge. It usually comes with a fight. And therefore, it's not the path of least resistance. And that's why I always pose the challenge or pose the question to us. Are we living or are we just existing? Or are we just here, you know, each day come, you just taking each day as it come. You're not really getting actively involved in life. You're just here, you're just existing, as opposed to you're actively engaging life. You're actively taking the challenges of life. You're actively engaging. You're actively choosing to walk on that path that may have the most resistance. And a lot of times we find ourselves not taking the path with the most resistance because we get discouraged easy. We're easily discouraged. You know, it's interesting if you take an ant, and ants are a tenacious creature, and it's a ancient writing in Proverbs that King David wrote in the Bible. It's in Proverbs, and it says, "Go to the ant, you slugger. Go to the ant, consider her ways, and be wise." And it's interesting because when you observe an ant, ants are not easily discouraged. I don't know if you've ever been in a fight with an ant, or if you've ever encountered ants in your house, but ants are tenacious. Ants do not give up. You will see the ants, you see them coming in, you try to get some raid, you try to get some bug spray, you try to get different things, or clean the food up, or where you see the ants at. And a few hours later or the next day, you'll see the ants right back again. And then you'll try to get rid of them that way, and then you'll come back and maybe the ants are coming in another way. And the interesting thing is, ants are not easily discouraged. And that's why we can look at ants, observe their ways, and become wise. We can gain principles from ants. Ants do not take the path of least resistance. You know, another great example is if you think about these Olympic runners and these Olympic gymnasts and these Olympic people, that athletes that, you know, they participate in the Olympics, and for 4 years they're training. For 4 years they're not being easily discouraged, but they're fighting through the path of the most resistance. And they're fighting through that path just so they can qualify to be in the Olympics. Just so they can qualify and just so they can compete in the Olympics. And that's that path right there. That's that path of life. It's going to be some things in life that you have a goal or an aspiration or something that you want to meet, but it's not going to be an immediate gratification. It's not going to be an immediate plan that can be executed. But this plan is going to take time. It's going to take strategizing. It's going to take time and strategizing. And you're going to have to go back to the drawing board over and over and over again as life throws different challenges, because you're not on the path of least resistance. And one of the most powerful things is when you're strategizing about something, when you're trying to accomplish something and you're on that path that's not with the least resistance, you have to have the mindset where you're not going to give up. You're not going to be easily discouraged. And discouragement can be a very upsetting thing. You know, as you're on that path of the least resistance, you're actually meeting these challenges. You're actually coming across problems. You know, it may be very tempting to be discouraged. It may be very tempting to give up because it looks like what you want to accomplish or what you want to do is not going to take place. It's not going to happen. And that's where faith comes in. That powerful avenue, or that powerful concept, and that powerful pathway, that powerful thing that we can grab a hold of that would allow us, as we meet these challenges, as we meet these trying circumstances, to still push forth in faith. And I say faith is very powerful because it's a characteristic and a virtue that not many of us have. But faith allows you to see where you want to be, even though you're not there yet. And faith is so powerful because faith is the avenue or the road which we take that allows us to change the reality that we find ourselves in. Faith carries you to where you want to be. Faith carries you through the discouragement. Faith carries you through the upset and the disappointments that you may be going through when you're trying to accomplish something. Having that eye, having that ability to see beyond their circumstances, to see beyond the challenges that you may meet, to see beyond the discouragement and the upsets, and to know that these challenges, these upsets, these discouragements are just a part of the process that puts you on the path of success. You know, it's interesting that you bring up a process, because everything that we do and everything that we go through is a process. Some are small processes, some are big processes, but they're all processes. And these processes, especially when they're not on the path of least resistance, but they're on a path with resistance, we find out that it's the process that is building those necessary character, virtues, and characteristics that we would need that aligns us to be in the place where we want to be. You know, a lot of times we wish that where we want to be, that we can just get dropped into that place, or we can just get dropped into that position. But the interesting thing is, if you were to get dropped in that position, you're actually not qualified to sustain that position. You're not qualified to be able to handle that blessing or handle that goal because you didn't go through the process. It's like if you take somebody that hasn't been training for 4 years, but they're really fast, and you put them in the Olympics, and you say, hey, you can try out for the Olympics. More than likely, they're not going to qualify, even though they may have the talent to be fast, because they didn't go through the process of training. They didn't go through the process of having to put effort, blood, sweat, and time into practicing, training, and becoming better and stronger, like these other athletes did that were actually training for the tryout of the Olympics. And this is why I said the process is very important. And this is why even the path with the most resistance is important, because it's that path that's going to certify you to contain the blessing that you have. It's that path that's going to give you the ability to stay where you want to be. It's that path.